This is Steve from the Command Center right here on the front lines in the bunker for you. That's right. Hey, how was your Thanksgiving? How was the past couple weeks? We haven't talked in a while. I'm going to be sharing some things with you that are pretty exciting. My Thanksgiving was great. Our family is bringing people in from the Ukraine, and it's kind of in the news quieted down a little bit about Ukraine, but I assure you, it's still bloodbath over there. And we're bringing people in, and it's their first Thanksgiving. You know, a lot of times we take Thanksgiving for such a granted, like, oh, how much turkey did you eat? I'm stuffed. I'm a pig. Yeah, but you don't realize when somebody has a nice home and things, and they've worked their whole life, and they're the fifth and sixth generation in that home, then one day their home is destroyed, and their children are dead, and it's all empty and gone and burned. And somehow they can get out and they come to America and they come here legally under political asylum or religious asylum. And then they sit down to a table filled with food, so much food, they've never seen this much. And the meal starts with prayer, something that they're not allowed to do in Russia and Ukraine and so forth. Folks, if you ever have a chance to sponsor somebody in as a legal immigrant, just take it and do it. You have no idea how valuable your freedom is until you see somebody taste freedom for the first time. Well, we've got a new year coming up and we're all ready. If you go to the command center, what you're going to find out is there's a brand new project. Our team just wrote it. It's called Election Protection. And I'm going to go over it with you for a few minutes and share with you what you can do. Now, if you want to be an armchair general, that's fine. Keep posting, keep blogging. I appreciate it. God appreciates it. America appreciates it. Don't forget, a lot of people come to our website, the Command Center, the Patriot Command Center. People that are who's who, Congress people that you voted for, will come to our little center with 50,000 members because we are the core. We are the core of the Patriot movement. A lot of our members are megas, they're Tea Parties, they're Patriots. Maybe they don't align with anybody. They're independents, libertarians. We have some displaced Democrats who lost their home. They're actually conservatives. And we got a few Republicans too. So a lot of folks come and they read your postings. Do not take that lightly. I'm not going to be a name dropper, but uh, Dee knows and has met some of the congressmen that come to our website. So I think that's enough said for now. Our new project is the election protection. And we're going to be sending messages to all 435 members of the House of Representatives, all 100 senators, and that guy in the White House. It's 536 messages we're going to send them. Now, I've taken the limitations off of it. Last batch that we did about um, sending the pink slip, I allowed you to only do two because if the word got out, we could wind up having our files just filled with junk and hackers and everything else. Well, we've had more bandwidth now, and we put some safeguards in place. So feel free to send as many of those messages as you want. That means every time you fill in your information, that's 536. If you want to send it 10 times, 50 times, one time, that's your business. But it's here for you. It's all paid for. It's done. You just have to step up and man up and send a message to Congress. And that message will be processed and then it'll go directly to them. Now we have lots of folks, administrators and helpers. We have people back east and we'll get those messages delivered. Now, you and I both know not everybody's going to read those. We got 536 people. Sleepy Joe can't even get out of bed, okay? Read, he can't even talk. So we know he's not going to read them, okay? A lot of the Democrats will read them. You say, Steve, you're a nutcase? Well, maybe, but they want to see what we're up to. So it's like reconnaissance. So what we do is we're going to send these. Most of the members of the House that are Republicans will probably read our messages because they know who I am, they know who you are, and they'll get it. Now, what are we sending? I want you to go to the website, and you're going to see um, on the top left side about election protection. You're also going to be see busted red-handed on there. Click on those. Those are the link. Go read the information I wrote down there, and then the message we're going to send. Now remember, you can send this anonymously. You don't have to put out anything. You just fill out the information and send it anonymously. Now what do they get? At the bottom of the message, they're going to get only your first name and your zip code. Why the zip code? Well, the congressional districts, we know they know what zip codes they're in. Also, the senators, they know what type of zip codes are in their state. So if they get something from their precinct or their district, and it's from their zip code, the likelihood of them reading it is much, much higher. Okay, that's why we have your first name and zip code anonymously, or you can have your first name and last name. That's up to you. It's up to you. But we will not give out your address. We will not give out your email address either. Okay? So you know that. So just relax. Send the message. Send as many times as you want. Okay? Now, going forward, what makes our message so different? Right now in Congress, there's several groups, Republicans, trying to get a voter ID law passed. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably not going to pass. Not only are the Democrats cheating in the election, in my view, that is, but I think some Republicans are too, in my view. You notice I have to put that at the end so I don't get a visit from the alphabet agencies. Um, so they're probably cheating. But there's another element why this voter ID probably won't pass, because people would need a photo ID. Now that means you have to give your face recognition, to the DMV or to some voter regulation organization, and that goes in a database. And that database is matched up. And you and I both know our databases in America, whether it's driving records or whatever else, it's going to go to the Chinese. It's going to go to the world. How do we know? It's happened before. If the IRS can be hacked and tens of thousands, maybe even millions of tax returns just flood through the market, if that can be hacked, if the Pentagon can be hacked, voter ID can be hacked too. Also, not everybody wants their photo to go out into the public hands. Some people are living very much under the radar, but they do vote. So you see, there's a natural pushback that I understand. You get it too, right? But there's other reasons why we have to verify the vote. Well, there's a lot of various instruments we can do to be able to verify the voter. And I agree with voter ID. Don't get me wrong, I do agree with it. But there's lots of other instruments. What we're going to do it a little different. And I'll tell you why. If that voter ID that's in Washington right now, Congress, gets shot down, and once again, I think it may, well, they might take the alternative. They don't want that, but they'll take this. We are going to be the alternative. We're going to be the backup plan. Now, could we have the voter ID and our plan? Oh, I would hope so. But if not, we're a backup plan. This is what we're proposing, okay? I'm going to read this here. A person found guilty of committing electoral fraud, not election fraud, shall be subject to mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years, maximum security in any correction facility, with no possibility of parole, asset forfeiture, and up to $250,000 in fines. You know what I just said? Do you think that's going to slow down ballot box stuffers and voting hijackers and fraud votes? I think so. I'm going to read that again too. And it's right on the busted red-handed. Just click on that, election protection. A person found guilty of committing electoral fraud, that includes the electors that we have counting the votes, shall be subject to mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years, maximum security correction facility with no possibility of parole, asset forfeiture, and up to $250,000 in fine. That's got some teeth to it. You know what I mean. Okay, now, hold on. I ain't done yet. An individual convicted of participating in the continuation or facilitating of voter fraud, either directly or as a secondary accomplice, shall be subject to a minimum sentence of 10 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Let me read that again. An individual convicted of participating in the continuation or the facilitation of voter fraud, either directly or as a secondary accomplice, shall be subject to a minimum sentence of 10 years in prison without the possibility of parole. That's going to slow down the flow. Follow me? The third point. In the event fraudulent votes exceed 1% of the total votes cast in any election, said election shall be deemed null and void. Subsequently, a new election shall be conducted exclusively through in-person voting. Now, I'm going to read that again, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. In the event there's fraudulent votes and that exceeds 1% of the total votes cast in any election, that election, said election, shall be deemed null and void. Then the subsequent election shall be conducted through in-person voting only. Now, that will fix the problem. If you think somehow that people are going to go out and risk vote hijacking and they're looking at 20 years in prison or 10 years in prison, losing everything they have or everything they'll ever have, losing their freedom, severe punishment. If you think that's going to slow them down, you're probably right, because it will. And then if there's an election come up and he's found that 1% of that is a fraudulent vote, and many times the election is decided on a handful of votes. You and I both know that, right? Okay, I'm just talking to you. There it is. 1% fraudulent votes, it's found. The election is null and void. And guess what? Now we're going to do a new election, and you're going to have to get yourself showed up. And you're going to be walking in, and you show up, and you vote in person, eyeball to eyeball. Okay? You follow me? All right. That's what we're proposing. We're going to put it out there. Now, we're being very strong and harsh. Why? There's an old saying in the sales industry, go high they cry, go low they buy. I know. Where does he get these stuff here? In other words, if the original voter ID bill is turned down, we want to be the secondary position. And we want to go very staunch on this, and hopefully we can get it. If not, let's get some of it. We want to get what we can get. That's our plan. Now, if you go out and send maybe 20 of these or 10 of these, that's going to be hundreds of thousands are going to be floating to the desks of Congress. And as you refer your friends, relatives, neighbors, rabbi, minister, witch doctor, to our process here as well for free, it's going to be just a tsunami, a landslide of messages, demands going to Congress. Okay, now the ball is in your court. Don't let me down. Don't let yourself down. Don't let America down. You got it? Let's get it done. We're going to flood Congress from this minute on with a voter protection, an election protection, and it's going to be on your shoulders to get it done. So, if there's a problem, if we have a technical glitch, don't get depressed. Contact me and contact Dee, and we'll get it fixed. If we have everybody sending 536 times 10 or 20 or 5 or whatever, and we get thousands of people out once, it's quite possible the system we built could have a problem. So get it done now, and then get it done again and again. and we're going to push it through Congress. This spring, I'm planning to go back to Washington and meet with some folks, some congressmen and so forth, and have a chance to chat with them about what's going on, give me some information about the pending legislation. Have you been getting our messages? And I plan to meet with a couple committees and also some congressmen. So I'll keep you on top of that. So this is Steve in the bunker, right here in the front lines. I'm protecting America like you are. We're protecting with our voice and our actions. Pray for America. Be strong and send your message to Congress, and let's get some election protection, shall we? All right. I will talk to you later. Bye bye.